man's life where the noise fades, the chaos, the games, the empty conversations, the surface attraction, and for the first time you stop chasing the woman who excites you and start noticing the one who grounds you. Not the loudest in the room. Not the most glamorous on your feed, but the one who creates silence. Not awkwardness, but peace. You see, when a woman is serious about you, it's never dramatic. There's no performance, no checklist, no forced effort. It's not about how often she texts or what she posts. It's about how she shows up. Not just in the good moments, but in the quiet ones. Not just when you're smiling, but when you're tired. Not just when you're winning, but when you're vulnerable. This is what most men miss. They're chasing validation, looking for the obvious signs, the compliments, the likes, the attention, but those things, they fade. Real feminine energy isn't loud. It's intuitive. It's subtle. It's honest. And when she sees something real in you, not the image, not the status, not the exterior, but the man behind it all, she'll shift. Her presence will soften. Her energy will slow down. She won't try to impress you because she's too busy trying to make space for you. That's when you know she's serious. Not about the idea of you, but the actual life you live, the purpose you pursue, the man you're becoming. And here's the thing, this shift doesn't come with a warning. No announcement, no grand reveal, just quiet signals reserved only for men who are still enough to notice. This isn't about pickup lines. This isn't about dating apps. This is about awareness. If you can slow down, tune in, and observe what she does when the mask drops, you'll learn more in 10 seconds of silence than in 10 hours of talking. In this video, I'm going to break down the 3 most profound things a woman will start doing when she's serious about you. Not when she's interested. Not when she's curious, but when she's emotionally aligned with your presence. These signs are for the men who've stopped chasing and started choosing. Who've learned to read truth in behaviour, not just words. If that's you, welcome to Stoic Paradox, where we don't teach game, we teach depth. Let's begin. Sign number 1. She makes emotional space for you. Here's something most men don't realise until it's too late. A woman can be physically close to you, laughing at your jokes, holding your hand, sharing your bed, and still keep her heart locked behind 1,000 invisible walls. But when she's serious about you, something changes. She doesn't just spend time with you, she starts making space for you. And not just physical space, I'm talking about emotional real estate. A space in her mind, a corner of her day, a place in her nervous system where you matter, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. She starts remembering the things you casually mention. Not because they were dramatic, but because they were real. She hears the change in your voice, even when you say you're fine. She senses when your energy's off, even when you're smiling. Why? Because she's present. She's not listening to reply. She's listening to understand. Not watching for you to impress her, but tuning in to who you are beyond the surface. And here's the deeper truth. Making emotional space for someone is one of the most vulnerable things a woman can do, because it means she's inviting you into the most sacred part of her. Her attention, her care, her inner world. Not every man gets access to that space, and she doesn't give it easily. But if you notice that she starts checking in, even when there's nothing in it for her, if she slows down her day to ask how you're doing, not as a formality, but as a moment of connection, if she holds emotional room for you when you're not at your best, without judgment, without rushing, without trying to fix you, that's not random kindness. That's investment, that's reverence. That's a woman saying with her actions, I see you, I respect you, and I care enough to hold space for the real you. That is a sacred signal. And if you're wise enough to recognize it, to match that depth with presence of your own, you're not just building a relationship, you're building a bond. So remember this, anyone can fill your time, but a woman who's serious about you will create space for your soul to breathe. Sign number 2, she becomes her real self around you. There's a side of her no one sees, not the world, not social media, sometimes not even her closest friends. It's the version of her that's unpolished, quiet, honest, the part that doesn't smile on command, the one that isn't trying to impress anyone. And when she starts showing that version of herself to you, that's not weakness, that's not carelessness, that is a signal, because most women live behind layers of expectation, perfection, protection. They're taught to be pleasant, to be likable, beautiful, effortlessly composed. But when she's serious about you, those layers begin to fall away. She gets a little messy, a little weird, little more human. She laughs in ways she doesn't laugh with anyone else. She talks about things she usually hides. She opens up not to be dramatic, but to be real, because for the first time she feels safe. And safety, real grounded. Masculine safety is the one thing that allows a woman to relax into her truth. She stops filtering every word. She doesn't overanalyze her texts. She shows up with messy hair, no makeup, loose clothes. Not because she's given up, but because she knows you're not just attracted to her beauty. You're connected to her essence. She's no longer performing the ideal woman. She's just being herself. Raw, emotional, complex, sometimes irrational, but always present. And here's the paradox. Most men say they want a real woman, but when she finally shows up unfiltered, they panic. They label her too emotional, too intense, too complicated. But a man who's in his grounded masculine, the kind of man you're becoming, doesn't flinch when the real her shows up. He doesn't need her to be perfect, he just needs her to be honest. Because that version of her, the one without the mask, without the filter, without the performance, that's where the depth lives. That's where real connection begins. And if you can hold space for her in that place, you're not just another man she dates. You become the sanctuary where she finally feels free to be. And trust me, a woman never forgets the man who made her feel safe enough to stop pretending. Most people walk through life wearing a mask, a version of themselves curated for the world, smiling when they want to cry, nodding when they want to scream, performing when they just want to be still. And women, they carry that performance even deeper because at a young age, they're taught to be desirable, not just in how they look, but in how they speak, how they react, even how they feel. Be pleasant, be light, don't be too much. So what happens, most men never actually meet the real her. They fall for a projection, the graceful, sweet, polished version she's been trained to present. But when a woman is truly serious about you, that projection starts to fade. She begins showing you the parts of her that aren't filtered. Not because she's careless, but because she trusts you. And trust isn't given quickly. It's not earned through charm or compliments. It's built through consistency, through presence, through how you show up when she's not her best. When she sees that you're steady even in a storm, that's when she begins to relax. And brother, when a woman relaxes into her real self with you, you're witnessing something rare. She might cry in front of you without apologizing. She might talk about her fears, her insecurities, her childhood scars, not to burden you, but to share herself. She might stop trying to look perfect 24/7. Let you see her without makeup. Let you witness her goofy side, her weird sense of humor, her awkward little rituals that no one else sees. That's not her slipping, that's her choosing to reveal. It means she no longer needs to be the idealized version of herself to feel worthy of your presence. And that's huge, because that kind of vulnerability, that kind of emotional nakedness, it's not something she gives to just anyone. She's not trying to impress you. She's letting you into the soft parts, the unhealed parts, the sacred hidden corners of her humanity. And most men, they run when that happens. They think she's too emotional or not as fun anymore. But a masculine man, a stoic man, doesn't need her to be perfect. He values truth over image. He sees that what she's giving isn't weakness. It's a gift, a sign that she's not just interested in the version of him that the world sees, but in the version that rests beneath the armor. So if she's being her full, unfiltered, unapologetic self around you, and not out of laziness, but out of trust, you're not just dating. You're witnessing something sacred unfold. Because when a woman stops trying to be what the world wants and starts being who she truly is, that's not a step backward. That's her stepping into you fully, freely, fearlessly. And the real question becomes, can you meet her there, not with judgment, not with ego, but with presence, with awareness, with stillness? Because the man who can sit with her truth is the man she'll never want to hide from again. Sign number 3, she invests without needing a return. There's a subtle truth about love. Real love isn't about tit for tat. It's not about playing games, counting favors, or keeping score. When a woman is serious about you, her investment isn't conditional. It's not given with a checklist of, I'll give if you give. She doesn't need a return because her value comes from how she gives, not from what she gets in return. Most men don't get this. They get caught up in the idea that everything has to be transactional. If I do this, she'll do that. If I'm kind to her,